6 liters have more than enough problems. So if you can eliminate some by just doing some cheap upgrades, it's 100% worth it. Now, one of the cheapest and first things you should do when upgrading things on your 6 liter is replace this little Y pipe. This guy sits beneath the coolant bottle on 6 liter Powerstrokes, and this freaking plastic Y always breaks. I've seen more broken Y pipes than I've actually seen 6 liters with blown head gaskets. You can get a aluminum replacement one of these for like I think it's like 90 bucks or something online, or you can make one yourself for about $5 worth of pipe fittings, 3/4 inch, 3/4 inch, 1/2 inch. This fits in the place of there just fine. I've ran these forever and never had any problems, but these will blow out and leave you stranded. Originally, this Y pipe sits underneath your coolant bottle with this going off into your heater core, and it's clamped on with these plastic rings. You can just cut these with a pair of side cutters and pull the hoses off to upgrade to these. You can also put some little notches in the pipe nipples to help keep the hose from sliding off, basically. But this is not serviceable. So if one of these slide off, you can't re-clamp one of these, right? And then they'll just get brittle over time and break. So either get an aluminum one, spend the 80 bucks, 70 bucks over, get an aluminum one, or replace one with $5 worth of pipe fittings. But I absolutely recommend anyone with a 6 liter replace this piece of garbage. So some more updates I'd recommend for the 6 liters cooling system is, other than this Y pipe, replacing that with a metal one, very important. Filtration. So you can buy these coolant filter bases on Amazon. This one here is actually a name brand one, so this one was probably 200 bucks. But you can get a kit, comes with all the hoses, comes with the filter, comes with a base like that. It's like 70 bucks or whatever. This is really important, especially if you just did your oil cooler on your 6 liter, because the oil cooler is the tightest tolerance throughout the entire cooling system. So any little bits of rust, debris, mineral buildup from the water, or just sand even from when the block was casted will clog up your oil cooler and cause it to fail because the coolant can't flow through there fast enough. Then you'll get boiling and it'll literally burst, and all of a sudden all your coolant and oil will be mixing. I've seen it happen. It'll happen without warning, but yeah, definitely replacing that. And on the note of your oil cooler, it's a good idea when running every now and then, especially if you're towing a hot, heavy load, to look at your scanner or whatever. If you can look at a live readout and look at your oil temp and your coolant temp, they should always be within about 20 degrees of each other. So if like, say your coolant's at 90, your oil shouldn't be more than 110. No, that's just saying kind of in the ballpark, right? 20 degrees of each other. If it's getting outside of that, then it's probably time for a new oil cooler. And putting in a coolant filter is a fantastic idea because it's way cheaper than an oil cooler and it will save your cooling system. Semi-trucks all have coolant filters. Definitely a well worthwhile upgrade. Another upgrade for the cooling system is definitely this degas bottle or coolant reservoir, whatever you want to call it. Now, here's the factory one. It's 2 pieces of plastic molded together there, and these will actually split along the seam and you'll start losing coolant. I've replaced a lot of these, and you can get a good probably 10 years out of one if you're lucky. If you keep splitting them, it's a good idea to replace this cap. This cap, like this one here, you see 16 PSI. So it keeps the coolant at 16 PSI of pressure, then lets out extra. These caps go bad all the time too, and that's what will cause either your water pump to blow out or this reservoir to crack. So if you're having issues with that, check this. You can do that by pressurizing the cooling system and putting a gauge on it, seeing that it builds to 20 or 16 PSI, and you can hear it let out pressure from there. Yeah, if not, replace your cap. Always a good idea. Just get a nice, good name brand cap anyways. But if you don't trust these, which I don't, a welded aluminum coolant reservoir is a couple $100. I ran this one for probably 5 years and it worked great. No more leaks or anything. The only thing is you do got to put a little bit of pipe dope on this looking glass here, because it's the only thing that didn't seal great. But otherwise, upgrading to an aluminum one is much more trustworthy. And I think you actually get, yeah, there is a little bit more capacity, even though that's not a huge concern with the 6 liters because they have phenomenal cooling for the size of engine there. You know, 6 liters of displacement, it's got like 20 some odd liters of cooling. So it's actually like, it's got more cooling capacity than the 7.3 does. And the block itself also has bigger coolant passages. The oil cooler is a design flaw for sure, but if you replace your oil cooler once and get a coolant filter and do these filters like once a year or whatever, depending on how much you're driving the truck, you shouldn't ever have an issue with your oil cooler again. Otherwise, they have fantastic transmission cooling, so you don't most of the time have to worry about that. But yeah, that's the only problems I've ran into with the cooling systems, other than that little hose for your EGR if you're doing an EGR delete, but that's for another time. But yeah, basically these 3 things and your cooling system is bulletproofed.